to prison and then turns into an obnoxious visitor posing as his lawyer. And in our next two segments, we're going to look back at some of the biggest productions of this summer season, talking about some that worked, some that didn't, and why. And certainly, scenes like that one from The Cable Guy didn't much entertain disappointed audiences who thought they were going to see another madcap Carey comedy like Ace Ventura and found themselves instead in a very dark and moody story. On the other hand, here's Eddie Murphy, who has disappointed his share of audiences in recent years, but is back with a terrific comedy called The Nutty Professor.
Anything I can get for you? Juice, coffee, rack of lamb?
The joke is on Murphy's character in that scene, but in this scene from The Cable Guy, the joke is on poor Matthew Broderick, who thinks he'll never get rid of his new friend from hell.
I gave you free cable. What have you ever done for me? Anything you want, just name it quickly. Tomorrow night we hang out.
Fine, anything you want.
God bless you. You're too good to me. You really are.
In The Nutty Professor, Jada Pinkett plays the professor's girlfriend who gets invited over to dinner, and all of the adults in the professor's family are played in disguise by Eddie Murphy.
Ain't nothing wrong with having relations. Don't be ashamed of that. Relations is beautiful. When I was young, I used to always have relations. Every night, if a nice gentleman bring me flowers and candy, take me to a movie, show me a lovely evening, then I would take him home and give him hot, lovely relations. Relations is...
Why does one of these comedies seem so right and the other one seem, at least to me, so wrong? Partly it's audience expectations. People don't want a depressing black comedy from Jim Carrey, and they do want slapstick and sight gags from Eddie Murphy. But there's another reason, too, I think. Generally speaking, we identify with the lead of a movie, and when the lead is the victim, like Eddie Murphy is as Professor Sherman Klump, we sympathize with him. But when the lead is an obnoxious psychopath, as The Cable Guy is, then we feel uneasy. He's laughing, but we're not laughing. If audiences have a choice, they'd rather see themselves as the fall guy than the Cable Guy.
Well, first of all, the Eddie Murphy picture is wonderful, and that I'm going to put as in one piece. It's great. I laughed all the time in that film. As for The Cable Guy, I'm one of the few critics that actually liked the movie. And let me try and defend it this way. Although the third act gets a little over the top and he's cruel, and I mentioned that in my initial review, I like the serious element in this picture as well as the big laughs in the beginning. And the serious element is, here is a character whose whole life comes out of television. All of his references, the Cable Guy, his names, his aliases, everything that he talks about comes from television. And he is cruel, and he is mean. And maybe what this film is saying is that's what happens when you sit too close to the set.
Yeah, well, Gene, I think maybe you've described a nice little $1 million picture that could have been made by people who had a little statement that they wanted to make, but I don't think that people are really looking for Jim Carrey.
You're being audience-centered.
I am being audience-centered. That's what we're doing here, analyzing why one of these movies worked and why well, that's not what you're doing, but that's what I'm doing.
And I'm analyzing.
Fine.
I'm trying to say what a good picture.
People are not interested in going to see a movie about an obnoxious, depressing, moody psychopath who does ugly and mean and sadistic things for 2 hours in a movie that they have been led to believe is going to be a comedy.
Okay, and Roger, the fact that the audience won't go with these pictures does not mean, as a critic, that I change my standards in any way, shape, or form.
No, not at all, because I think it was a bad movie whether or not the audiences went with them. Okay?
Coming up next,